everybody, it's Becky. Welcome back to my 5-Star Life. Today I'm going to be exploring the historic village of Batsto, New Jersey. So if you'd like to tag along, let's go. Alright, so Batsto Village is a nationally recognized historic site. Remains of prehistoric life have been found here. This was an old industrial town that was used for iron making and later glass making. In 1766, Charles Reed built the Batsto Iron Works that made household items and, during the Revolutionary War, supplies for the Continental Army. Then in 1784, William Richards became the owner and his family ran the town for the next 92 years. During that time, iron production declined and glass-making production took over. In 1876, after a decline in the glass-making industry, Joseph Wharton from Philadelphia took over the village until his death in 1909. From then until 1954, the property was managed by the Girard Trust Company. In the mid-1950s, the state of New Jersey purchased the property, and in 1989, the last remaining residents moved out. Today, the remaining buildings are regularly maintained, and the public is invited to come out and tour the grounds. So, let's go check it out. Okay, so right after you park your car, you come across the Batsto Visitor Center, which is also a museum that has some really cool information and artifacts about the old village. But there are no photos or video allowed, so we won't be going in there today. But as you come around behind the Museum and Visitor Center, you see an old map of the town, which we will go see, and one of the old ore boats that I will talk about in a minute. And Charlie is also with us. Hey, Charlie! So here we are at the old map. It gives you a directory of all the different places in the village you can visit. And we are right here at, like I said, the visitor center. And I'll go around the town and the old village and show you guys what it looks like today. And before we go, I do have to note that these are the remains of the village that used to be here. But there used to be a whole lot, I'm not exactly sure how many, but a whole lot of houses that used to stretch across the road. But a fire wiped a good portion of them out at one point. But like I said, our first stop is the remains of this old ore boat. The remains of this Batsto ore boat was used to transport raw bog iron to the Batsto iron furnace. It was excavated from the bottom of Batsto Lake in 1957. I believe they have it covered just to preserve it, but this is what she looks like. And right next to the boat is an old ore pile. Now the old ore pile was used in making pots, kettles, stoves, and more. And here's a closer look of what the ore looks like. And this was what was found on the bottom of the lake that we are going to see in a few minutes. It says on this plaque that it can still be found in coves, swamps, and bogs of the Pine Barrens. And of course behind the pile you have some of the village, which we will go to a little bit later, but we are going to go down this path and go over the Batsto Dam. Now before we get down there, I do want to note that the dam can be a bit noisy and crowded, so I do want to share with you guys that it was used to allow the boats to transport the bog and to power the old sawmill before they upgraded it. And like I said, it is pretty crowded down there and noisy, but before you actually get to the dam, if you hang a left, you can actually go into the old village, which we will do after we tour the houses. So here we are coming up on the dam and Batsto Lake. And in the background, you can see the old sawmill, which we will talk about after we cross over the bridge. But here is the old dam. And the river on the other side. This is a great spot to just take some pictures and some video, and you can also kayak in its water. So it's a really fun spot, and really, well, I'll try to refrain from using this too much today, but picturesque. But like I said, right over the bridge is the old sawmill. It's actually still in operation today, so let's talk about it. Now the old sawmill behind me is over 200 years old. It was used to cut lumber that was shipped all over the East. In 1822, it was upgraded to a turbine-driven circular saw that can still be used today. And they do have demonstrations periodically from time to time, so I will leave a link below so you can get more information on that if you are interested in seeing one for yourself. This is what she looks like from the other side, and the buildings are actually open. They were closed because of the pandemic, so let's go inside and see how she looks today. Okay, so we are now inside, and there is some fresh lumber that will probably be used for a demonstration at a later time. And this is what the rest of her looks like inside. It's really cool to see a building that has been standing here for so long that is still in working order. Seriously, how cool is this? Now we are coming up on some of the old workers' houses, but before we get there, there's a little area here that I believe used to be the home of the old Glassworks building. And this is the marker of where she used to stand. So the old Glassworks buildings were built in 1846 and consisted of 7 different buildings. They produced window glass and production stopped in 1867. Unfortunately, like we just saw, none of the buildings still exist today. So for a reference point, that is the Sawmill that we were just in, and this is the land where the Glassworks used to sit. There was also an iron furnace that sat somewhere here on the grounds, although I'm not exactly sure of the original location. But like I said, the iron furnace was a very big help during the Revolutionary War. It helped make supplies, and then it also, in times of peace, made those household items that we talked about previously. But now we are here from the old workers' houses, so let's go in and take a tour. Now, if you lived in one of these houses, you had a model where you had either 2 or 3 rooms downstairs, and then there were 2 rooms upstairs and an attic. And in the Wharton era, the rent was about $2 a month, so sign me up. The one we're gonna go into was, I believe, the standard model, so let's just go inside. So when you walk in, you have 2 rooms on either side. On the first side, you have the fireplace and I believe like the dining, kitchen area. I believe there was some kitchen storage back in a room that you can't get into. And you had your stairway upstairs. And then on the other side, you had your living area. And like I said before, some people were actually living here until as late as 1989. And then out the back door, you have a cute little porch to sit at. And of course, your state-of-the-art outhouse. I am going to try to go into one of the other bigger houses, but this is what village life looked like. And like I said, right across the way here, even like right here in front of where I'm standing and across the road, there used to be a ton of other houses, but a lot of them were wiped out in that fire. So this was one of the bigger models, and I thought you could go inside one of these, but they are all closed. But this is what she would have looked like from the front. There's also this old water pump in front of one of the houses. Imagine having to come outside every morning to get some fresh water this way. It really is fun to imagine what life must have been like back then, but now we're gonna go back to that fork in the road near the entrance of the property and show you guys the rest of the town. Here we are back at that fork, and now we're actually going to hang a right from this direction and see the old town. And one of the first buildings you come upon is the old grist mill. The grist mill was built in 1828 and used to make wheat, corn, and other grains, which they sold at the general store. In 1882, the original wooden water wheel was replaced with a side window turbine. Now, unfortunately, this building is closed today, but I will walk around and show you guys different angles of the building itself. As you come up to her, you do see one of the old turbine wheels, and there is actually a plaque on the building that says 1828, which was the year that she was built. And my best guess is that this building was used for maybe storing grains, maybe parking your horses. There's not really any information I found on this building, so if anybody knows, please let me know down in the comments below. This is also the mill from the other side. Down there is the river where they used to harness the power from, but that is unfortunately also blocked off. But right across the street from this building is the old general store and post office building. Now, this post office is one of the 4 oldest operating post offices in the U.S. today. It opened and reopened a few times since 1852, and since it is an historical structure, it has not been assigned a zip code. All of the stamps are hand canceled. And in the front of the building is the general store. The general store was used for villagers to purchase a variety of goods ranging from fresh fruits and veggies to guns and farm equipment. And this building is open, so let's go inside. So they have kind of like a mock setup of all the different things you used to be able to buy here, or at least a general idea of that. It's crazy to think that at this small store you used to be able to buy everything. Now we just have to go to Walmart. So as you come out of the store, you see a couple of the old stables, I believe, and down the road is an old blacksmith. So let's go check it out. So as you come to the end of the lane, you stand right here in front of the old Wheelwright and the Blacksmith. The Wheelwright made and repaired wheels for carriages and wagons, and of course the Blacksmith shoed horses, repaired farming tools, and domestic hardware. And they are open, so let's get a closer look. Here we are in front of the old Wheelwright station. And of course, right next door is the old Blacksmith. And I do believe from time to time they have demonstrations here as well. I will, like I said, leave the link to the website down below so you can check it out if you'd like. But those are all the different tools they used. And they still use. Really awesome. Then, of course, to your right is some of the old farm buildings. But before we talk about the old farm buildings, we come across the building in the center of the town, which is none other than the old historic Batsto Mansion. This property is a 32-room mansion that served as the residence for the owners of generations of iron masters that ran the town. Tours of the first 2 floors are currently open Wednesday through Sunday at 11, 1, 2, and 3 p.m. Tickets are $3 for an adult and $1 for a child. And they do recommend that you call ahead of time because tours do fill up quickly. She really is a beautiful building. I have done the tour a couple of times and it is really cool to go inside and see some of the old artifacts and to learn about how life was like in the house. You are not allowed to film or take photos inside, so of course we are not going to be doing that today either. And then to the right of the mansion are some of the old farm buildings. The old farm building was built in 1830 and housed horses and mules. The piggery was where pigs were slaughtered and processed. Other farm buildings were the carriage house, horse stable, threshing barn, range barn, and the mule barn. And it looks like the old barn is open, so let's take a walk inside. So this is to the left, where a lot of the horses lived, and this is to the right. This is what one of the old stalls look like. And you can actually walk inside one of the stalls. Pretty neat if I do say so myself. The old piggery is open as well, so let's take a look inside. So here is a look inside. I'll actually give you guys a look from the other angle. Like I said, this is where the pigs were stored and unfortunately slaughtered. So now we are going to go back around to where the mansion is and go across the way and talk about one more building, which would be the old ice house. So here we are again, right in front of the old mansion, and across the way is, like I said, the old ice house. Now the old ice house kept the food for the residents of the Batsto Mansion cold during warmer seasons. They cut slabs of ice to keep meat, butter, and dairy cool all year round. And we can also have a look inside. So here is some of the old tools I believe they used to use, or replicas. And through this window is a nice hole in the ground where I believe that they stored all of the meats and goods that they needed to be kept cool. Unfortunately, it was hard to see through the glass. But that was a tour of most of the village. The grounds are open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I highly suggest you come out here and visit if you're in the area. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This is one I've been wanting to make for a long time. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really do love to do South Jersey videos like this one, as well as my other content. But like I said, please, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, leave me that comment below. And as always, have a 5-star day. Charlie, do you have to use the facilities? There's plenty of bathrooms.
They're all taken.
Okay.